Hey YouTube, it's Samara and welcome to the channel where you get Samara That World. Today we are going to talk about how to travel safely in South Africa. I've been getting a lot of questions about my recommendations on what to do in South Africa, but I will make that either in a separate YouTube video or blog post. But I think that what's really important is knowing how to travel safely in South Africa because it is pretty dangerous there. Cape Town is actually the 15th most dangerous city in the world. So you really do need to take more safety precautions while you're in South Africa. And if you guys haven't checked out my previous videos on safety, go ahead and check those out. I have one on how to not get kidnapped and how to not get robbed. Those are just more general safety tips. And although I did say they're for solo female travelers, I had a guy comment on one of them saying that it really helped him. So if you are a guy, it'll probably help you too. But for today's video, we are going to focus specifically on South Africa. Some of these safety tips will overlap, but a majority of them will be specifically catered to traveling safely in South Africa. And as always, you guys, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And you can also comment in the comment section below if you want any specific videos to be made, and I'll be happy to make them for you in the future. And without further ado, let's get in the video. So the first safety tip I have is to bring as minimal amount of valuables on you as possible. The reason why is because theft in South Africa is very high. It's very prominent. So if you don't want to risk something really expensive of yours getting stolen, then I would just avoid bringing expensive things. And you can actually, like I've said it before, either get a cheap phone if you don't want to potentially end up having your expensive iPhone getting stolen. Either buy a cheap phone before you get to South Africa, so that'll be kind of like your travel phone, or you can buy a phone in South Africa for pretty cheap. I mean, there's like smartphones you can buy at the mall. You can get a local SIM card, use it to, get around. You can use your GPS data. You can keep in contact with people via WhatsApp. But yeah, you can find some pretty cheap smartphones there if you don't want to buy it ahead of time. Another thing that you need to know when visiting South Africa is the only way to really get around is via Uber or renting a car. So if you do rent a car, just know that hijacking also happens in South Africa. I don't know how common it is in Cape Town, but I know for sure in Johannesburg it's quite common. I wouldn't even recommend going to Johannesburg if I'm being completely honest, but I didn't want to have to deal with my car possibly getting hijacked, so I did not rent a car in Cape Town. I mainly took Ubers everywhere. I know some people rent cars so they can do the garden route, and I think that that's something that I definitely want to do at some point, but you do have to take precautions because there's a possibility your car could get hijacked. So just make sure that you have the proper insurance for that, and that you, like I said, don't have a lot of valuables on you, because if someone tries to get in your car and says, give me all your stuff, like you just don't want to have a lot of stuff on you. I'm not saying that you're necessarily going to get your car hijacked. I do know people that did the garden route and I'm sure they were fine, but yeah, it's just something that can happen in South Africa, so you have to be aware of that. And like I said, if you don't want to risk that, just go with Ubers. If you rent a car, be aware of car guards. So basically they're people that will offer to watch your car to make sure that it does, like, nothing gets stolen or that no one tries to break into it. And typically if a local saw a car guard come up to them, they probably wouldn't use their services, so don't feel obligated to use the services. But if you just kind of want to stay safe and don't want any trouble, you can just tell them, sure, you can go ahead and watch my car. And a lot of the times what locals will do is they'll come back and just be like, I don't have any money, sorry. Or they'll give them just like a little bit of money just so they don't have any, once again, issues with safety. You don't want to like upset the car guard, but you also don't necessarily need to break your bank account to pay these people to watch your car. But just know that you may end up running into a car guard. Another safety tip is to get travel insurance. I already kind of said that you should get the proper insurance, but the reason why travel insurance is so important is that if you get anything stolen, they will cover you for a certain amount of money, so that way you aren't as stressed about it. Because personally, I ended up bringing my camera when I was traveling. Obviously, I wanted to take nice photos, so I had travel insurance. So if it would have gotten stolen, it would have been covered by my insurance, basically, So I think that if the amount of valuables you're going to bring is going to outweigh the cost of the insurance, then you should purchase the insurance because it's definitely worth it. Personally, the insurance that I used was World NOMADS, and I will go ahead and leave a link in the description so you can go ahead and check their website out. And if you're going to South Africa or really anywhere, you can just click on that link and purchase the insurance. It's pretty easy. So yeah. Oh, and also the reason why I like World Nomads so much is because you can literally buy the insurance like while you're in the country. You don't need to buy it ahead of time. You can just literally do it while you're there. But if you want to get started on that now, obviously go ahead and buy it now so you're ready to go and you don't have to worry about it later. Another safety tip is to not take trains. Like, don't take trains or the public transportation there. If you take public transport, you're a lot more likely to get mugged, and even on the trains, they don't really have a lot of security, and the way that it's set up is the trains are basically separate carts, so the security can't just go from one cart to the next. So if you take a train, you're just in a position to get mugged. I mean, it's a lot higher chance that you're gonna get mugged because someone can enter the train cart that you're in and there may be no security, and if they hold a gun to your head and say give me your stuff, you're kind of screwed, right? So yeah, I wouldn't take the trains. Another safety tip is that sometimes you're gonna have people approach you during the day asking for money or really just various things. So if that happens, I know this is hard for some people, but you really need to ignore those people. Like, do not give them money. Do not even engage with those people, because as soon as you engage with someone coming up to you and asking you for something, you are going to be targeted as a tourist. People are going to know you're a tourist because most of the locals are just going to keep walking and ignore that person. So if you engage with that person, then you're going to be seen as a tourist, and then people may end up seeing you as a target for theft. So yeah, because even if someone like a child comes up to you and is like, hey, can you give me some money? You're going to see it happen. Little kids will come up to you and ask you for money. If you give that child money, you don't know who that kid is associated with. They may be associated with a larger criminal organization, with not even organization, but they might be associated with a larger group. If you take the time to give that kid your money, then you're giving time for more people to approach you and possibly steal from you. So yeah, I know that it's hard because you want to be giving back to these people, but from what I was told, you really shouldn't engage with anyone while you're walking around throughout Cape Town or wherever. Just keep walking and ignore that person. Another safety tip is do not walk around alone at all, period. Like, do not walk around alone. Even during the day, I never walked around alone. I always had someone I was walking with, and definitely do not walk around at night, period. Like, even if you're in a group of people, do not walk around at night, because I knew a lot of people who had their things stolen. People will hold you at knife point or gun point and try to steal things from you if you're walking around intoxicated at night, even if you're in a group. Even if you're a guy, like, that can definitely happen. So if you want to avoid that, you really need to make sure you're taking Ubers everywhere. And I don't even care if the bar is 3 minutes from your hostel walking. I knew people who did that. They walked to the bar, even though the hostel was only, it was just a 3-minute walk, and they ended up getting mugged within that 3-minute walk. So you just don't want to do it. Just Uber to wherever you're going and you'll be fine. Oh, and along with that is, when you're going out at night, only bring cash on you. Do not bring valuables on you. Like, literally, that's why I said get a phone that you don't care about and only bring cash on you, because I also knew people who would get out of the bar. They were waiting for their Uber. They were just sitting there waiting for their Uber. And in the time frame that they were waiting for their Uber, they ended up getting mugged. So that's why I'm saying at nighttime, only bring cash, because you don't want, obviously, your credit cards to get mugged. And if you only have some cash on you, you can give that to the person. And you don't want a super expensive phone on you. So yeah, when you go out at night, just make sure you're Ubering everywhere. Try to avoid staying outside of the bar on like the main streets for too long, and just have minimal valuables on you and you should be fine. And also, you guys, I don't say all this stuff to scare you. I honestly really love Cape Town, and there's more of South Africa I want to see. I think that it's a beautiful city. There's so much nature. It's gorgeous. You can see wildlife. Like, it's amazing. But there are safety precautions that you have to take that are probably going to be more strict than other countries. And if you're used to living in a country where things are relatively safe, this is a place that is probably going to be a bit of a culture shock for you because of how many safety precautions you have to take. But at the end of the day, if you're street smart and you do what I tell you, you should be fine. Obviously, I went and I was fine. So yeah, just do that and you'll be good to go. I wouldn't let that deter you. I think it's an amazing city, and I definitely think it's worth seeing. I'm talking about Cape Town, but I know that South Africa in general, I've heard really good things about on the garden route, and I want to go back specifically for that. But yeah, I mean, don't let that deter you. Just stay safe and have fun. All right, you guys, that's all I have for you in this video. If you liked it, like I said, give it a thumbs up, subscribe. It does help me out when you guys subscribe, and feel free to share the video and comment below. It helps me out a lot, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day or night wherever you are. Peace.